All right, can I steal the little clicky perfect? Oh, it's a big one. All right. Hello, everybody. I know you are fairly excited to get to lunch before too long, so I won't take too long, and I want to make sure we have enough time for Leah is about 15 minutes. Okay, perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit about the feedback sessions in a minute, but first I'm going to talk a little bit to you about communications and communicating with USAID about your projects. So my name is Susan Melnick. I'm the Strategic Communications Manager for the ASAP project, which stands for, it's a little bit long, are you ready? Accelerating Support to Advanced Local Partners. And we are a USAID-funded capacity strengthening mechanism, and we work in sub-Saharan Africa with about 14 different countries. And I am here presenting because one of my favorite people, Ellen Langens, is unfortunately under the weather, and she's the communications chief for the Bureau of Global Health. So please stick with me because part of this presentation is mine and a lot of it is Ellen's, and I practiced beforehand, but wasn't expecting to do the whole thing. So just stick with me here, we'll make it work. So I did want to first see if I could get a hands raised for anyone who's working in communications for your programs or your organizations, because I think there's not going to be a huge amount of hands in the rooms. Can you keep them up? Keep your hands up. Excellent. Okay. Can you raise your hands, keep them up, if you've ever communicated to anyone about your program or your organization? You've ever told someone about your program? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So basically everyone. So even if you're not working directly as your role and your title for communications, every single one of you. I know a lot of you are chiefs of party and executive directors, technical directors. You know, everything that you're doing in the field and with your programs, we need to tell people about it. That's the whole point. So every single one of you is communicators. So let's go through a few things. So the OHA Communications Role, so Office of HIV/AIDS, obviously, is to really amplify USAID and your programming activities and achievements. So that's really the biggest part of what they do. It's to find and create opportunities to collaborate with partners. So conferences like this, making sure that we get people together to network and to share with USAID and the American people about what your programs are doing throughout the world. And also to serve as a focal point for public affairs and communications. So same idea there. So I'm going to go through some of these kind of quick because I want to get to the feedback sessions, which are really, really important. But the OHA Comms external activities includes like the social media management, conferences and events, content creation, blogs, articles, and things like that. And I did want to mention, because I've had a couple of partners, I know I've spoken to a few of you over the last couple of days, ask about the presentation. So we're going to make sure that we have these available for you. You'll get an email following the event. So that way, a lot of the different panels that you've been a part of, I know you've had a lot of great information shared, and I know it's been a lot over a couple of days to have all of that taken. So we'll make sure we share all that with you. And the recordings for most of the panels as well, so you can share them with your coworkers who weren't able to attend. So obviously very important, USAID branding and marketing. It's something that we, get drilled into us, but it is so important because we want to share your programs, your achievements with the American people, with the world who are supporting this funding. And it is a great way to get them behind you and behind all of us in our work that we're doing. So branding follows funding. A lot of us in here, obviously, we're PEPFAR funded. And so the PEPFAR logo comes first. You'll see that on all the materials for this event. You'll see always PEPFAR and then the USAID one. And if you have any questions about these types of things, your COR, your AOR, that's what they're there for. OHA Comms can assist as well. So I'm going to skip through a few things because I don't want to take up too much time. Writing tips, I think this is great for all of us. I write for a living and I still need lots of practice. So trying to write for your audience. If you're writing a report for your COR for USAID, you're speaking maybe a little different language than if you're writing a social media post. So the acronyms are probably the biggest thing. We know them. We're familiar with them, but the community doesn't always know. So please try and spell them out the first use. Try and connect your writing to a human impact. So what impact are you making in your community? Because we know it's a lot. We see that. So just quickly about repackaging content. I think a lot of times people feel like, oh, we have to do a success story and then we have to do another success story. But you can actually break that content up and save yourself some time and your staff some time. So take one piece of content, a success story, break it up into a text box and throw it into a report. You can write a press release and submit to local media. You could do an interview as part of the success story and break it out into a separate little video or a clip. Be sure to take some photos at the interview, and now that photo becomes part of a report, part of a social media post. You can use it in a lot of different ways. You can pull some quotes. We love to do this for our COR. Pull quotes from when we're talking to our partners and put it in there, because as much as it's nice to hear from me, we really want to hear from all of you about how our project is doing. And then you can add a snippet if you have a newsletter for your organization or if you have a website or blog. I'm super passionate about this, partially because I only speak one language, unfortunately. And I think it's really, really important for us to make sure that we're communicating with our interviewees, so anyone that we're interviewing for a success story, in the language that they're most comfortable with. So if they're comfortable communicating in the language that you want to talk to them in, that's wonderful. But if they're not, please make sure you allow for translation. Make sure that people feel comfortable articulating themselves in the language that they are most fluent in. And then please be sure to translate accurately. It's so easy to paraphrase and summarize, but we really want to hear directly from the community members about the effects of your programs. So a couple of photo tips. Again, we're going to share this presentation, and I only have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to just leave that up on screen for a minute. All of you, when you came in and registered that were local partners, you signed a consent form. And so that's an important part as well, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Here's some great photos that you guys have submitted as part of the photo contest that OHA Comms did, and there will be more information on that coming soon. And those photos that you share with USAID, they then have them in a photo inventory that can be used. So it's really important to get those photos to OHA Comms and make sure that they have access to them so that they can amplify your work that you're doing. Rule of thirds is just about photography. So if you do notice, whether you're taking photos at home for family or for your projects, a lot of times we want to center everybody right in the middle of a photo. Rule of thirds is to use 1 to 2/3 of the photo. So see how it's a little bit offset? It can make it quite interesting. So just little things like that can be quite useful for even your field staff that's out there taking photos with consent. Very important. All right, so this is my favorite topic. I'm really, really passionate about consent and disclosure. So we have lawyers here who will tell you it's very, very important to have these signed, and that is important. But there's a lot more to consent than that. It's making sure, on top of the signed USAID donor disclosure form, that the person understood what they were signing. So your missions have, in almost all cases, actually translated it into a local language. So make sure that the person who's signing this form is using a form that has a language that they understand. If they are not able to read the form, please read it to them. But also to really make sure that people understand and have the opportunity to say no. So before you put a microphone or a camera in front of somebody's face, please make sure that they understand that this might be shared quite widely. Even if your organization is a smaller organization in a smaller community, once it's shared with USAID, obviously once we have permission to share it more widely, it can be amplified quite to a large audience. So it's important for people to feel comfortable. And this is something, I know we get a lot of pressure, obviously, to make sure we share these success stories, but make sure that your community is on side with you and that they want their photos taken and their stories shared. And especially important because we're working in health. So sharing, anything that's personal about their health status and that type of thing, this all needs to be with permission. So very, very crucial. And make sure they have the opportunity to say no. All right, so just quickly, OHA has several different platforms. Again, we're going to share these. It's more useful for you to have the links than just to look at this. So there's some external things that are used, like Medium. USAID uses Medium, which is a great storytelling platform, and Exposure. And then internally, there's the OHA blog, which is really great to follow, and the Storytelling Hub. USAID has a LinkedIn page, and so you can join that as well. And as ASAP, we're hoping to do a Communities of Practice communications LinkedIn page. So it would just be for local partners, and so we'll send some information out about that. And this is really important, so if you're gonna, I saw you guys taking photos of some of the slides. If you're gonna take photos, this is one of them. The OHA Implementing Partners newsletter. So I read this every time it comes out, and it goes out monthly from the OHA director. It has lots of information, but a great part of it is it has examples of success stories that they're sharing. So it gives you an idea of what USAID is looking for, so you can help to develop some of that for your program. All right, and then social media. I know you follow USAID on social media, but just a reminder that the Global Health Bureau has its own social media channels as well. So I really recommend following those, and you can tag them when you share something on social media to USAID GH, and that tag is sort of like a little tap on the shoulder for the OHA comms team, and it gives them like a little alert that they can then see what you've shared. So if you don't tag them, it goes out into the world and they might not ever find it. So really, really important. A couple of tips about the tagging and things like that. And then I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to click through these ones. So Twitter and Facebook, and then awareness days. So really important for your organization and your communications team to sort of be aware of the different awareness days, and you can develop some special communications around that. World AIDS Day is coming up on December 1st, so that would be one great opportunity. Let me get out of the way while you're taking photos of the slides. And that would be a great opportunity to help to share. Perfect. All right, well, I am done. I'm around. You guys have seen me running around the last couple days. So please feel free if you have any questions to come catch me, because I want to make time now for Leah. She's going to talk about the feedback sessions that are really, really important, and they're happening this afternoon. So please be sure to listen in on this information.